Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to peel plastic and I'm going to sort parts out into some bowls, so I've got everything laid out, and then I'm going to begin the assembly process. Okay, I did not put all the little nuts and bolts into bowls like I do with a lot of my projects because this is really well organized. For example, labeled packages, M4s by 18. This is what we're going to need first. We need the M5s by 45 millimeters. And we know we need those because on our nice instructions, sorry about that, you can see here that step one is going to be mounting the two uprights. And to do that, we need M5 45 4 pieces, which is this bag right here. And they come with washers, lock washers no less. How about that? This is going to be a nice kit. They really not only packaged everything great and provide some very easy to follow directions that don't require you to worry about a language barrier because everything is visual and pictorial. And then they label the bags for you. And the software is even provided for you on a nice little SD card. Ender 3 Pro English. Handy, handy. Nice little set of tools. Everything's complete. I'm using some of my own. These part of a larger set that I picked up back when I used to race bicycles and used to wrench on them. So anyway, first step, mounting these two uprights. And if I recall correctly, this is one of the differences between the Pro and the regular Ender 3, is that these are the double wide versus the single size, which I thought I had one handy to show you, but I guess not. Here we go. Yeah, single size. So using these on the uprights make them stronger. Also, one of the things that they don't tell you, and I don't know why they don't go over all these differences, because I wouldn't even thought about getting the 3 if I had known about this stuff. They make it sound like it's just, you know, getting this magnetic deck and the different controller card, but big differences. You've got a better power supply, you've got a structurally stronger rig, and that double width is also here. And this is actually, it's actually 4 times the size. It's, you know, double left, right, and then double up, down. So it's the big square block like this. Now, one of the things that advantages this is that because this is double wide, this bed, it's basically, you've got 4 rollers. Okay, 2 and 2. And on the 3, those rollers are on one of these. So that has a little more potential for rocking. On this, they're running further apart. So you're using the double wide piece. That means that there's going to be less potential for this thing to rock. It's more stable. And because it's the same the double height as well, this is a beefier rig altogether. Don't say it's a beefier rig. Altogether. Little joke from Airplane back in the day, if you guys are familiar with the movie. Things to look for. There's going to come a time when it's going to be important to put bolts into this side, not this side, and there's little cutouts here, so just keep that in mind later. Now, another thing that I don't have to I don't have to show you right now because it's not a problem. These decks can sometimes come, oh, it is a teeny bit loose. You see how it's got a little bit of a rock to it? These are adjustable, and see, if you look in there, you can see the heating element. See the gold, the wire coming off it? That's the little heating pad, basically. Okay, now which ones do you adjust? It's not, I don't think it's those two. It's probably, yeah, okay. These two right here have their bolts. On the other side, they're just a metal spacer. And these are like conical shaped, so you can loosen these and then adjust the tension by adjusting those conical bolts, and that's going to move the wheel a little closer, and it's going to tighten that down. And that is what the very thin wrenches are going to be for. And I don't think I'm going to be able to reach my hand in there. I may need to... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the deck off. The actual heated bed. That's another nice thing about this this rig is these big adjuster knobs for the deck. And one of the mods I got for this is an upgraded set of springs. Having the deck adjusted properly so that it is level in all dimensions is very important, and these springs are a factor. And there's a set of larger springs that you can get, stiffer springs, to replace these. Okay, you can gently remove that. And I'm just going to set this off to the side here. Oops. Should have seen that. Okay, so I'm just going to use a regular crescent wrench up there because you're going to need to keep one wrench on that elliptical bolt spacer. So, having never done this before, this is probably going to be a little trial and error. Just want to make sure I'm not catching on anything. It wasn't very tight. Let's see how this... Okay, well that might be one explanation. There's also... I was hoping that I wasn't going to need a third hand. Let's see what size that is. Okay, that's one wrench I didn't break out, so definitely going to want that. Okay, let me see what size this is. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a moment while I get another tool. Okay, that's a 3mm under there. So, kind of curious as to which direction tightens and which one loosens. Okay, that appears to tighten. Yeah, that makes it really stiff. So you don't want to, you're not going to want to tighten it where it limits movement, but you don't want it to be rocking around either. Sorry about jiggling the camera there, guys. It's too tight, but no rocking, so that feels good. It would be easier to tell if this was loose. Okay. What I'm doing is I am loosening the belt, and then I'm going to take it off of the motor so it moves free. That way I can have this track moving freely. Okay, just pull that off there. Okay, so now I can see how smooth that is and figure out where I need to tighten or loosen, because you're basically, you know, this one presses against this one presses against this one. They both have to be allow for movement, but you don't want this thing rocking. Rocking. It's pretty smooth. I mean, you got to allow for the fact that these are sealed bearings, and you're got rubber wheels on metal. There's going to be a good bit of resistance, and you've got it set smooth. So don't expect it to be super loose. Okay, don't have any. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now I've got to hold the elliptical bolt spacer in place and then tighten this one. Actually, that doesn't work quite because you've got to have the third hand down below. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Okay, I think I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold the bottom wrench with my thumb and keep that from changing position. I'm going to hold the top one there, and I'm going to tighten from below. And then once you make that change, test again to make sure that tightening it didn't make any adjustments for you. Okay. Hold that in place. Hold that in place. And shake the camera real hard for the viewers. Sorry, guys. And gals. Okay. Okay. Good to go. Okay, deck is reattached. Let's get that in place. The spring is already on there. Oh, damn. I'm just determined to give you guys seizures. Another little knick-knack to pick up, and this I picked up off Amazon. It was about $4, $5. Okay, this is not one of them. This is a little bubble gauge. I got a pack of like 6 that are little rectangles, about that by about that, you know, inch by half inch square, and you probably only really need 4 or 5 of them, one or two for each corner, then the center. Basically, you're going to want to, you know, make sure the bed is level. And there's actually a leveling tool or something. I'm going to look into that later. But for now, I'm just going to go with the simple solutions. That's a little more of an expensive upgrade. As I recall, it was around 50, 60 bucks just for the sensor. Okay. Okay, if you've never worked with this type of stuff before, there's threaded holes at either end. So what we are doing is we need to make sure we got the right ones here. Okay, there's a couple holes over here. That may be for this side top, because I know there's stuff that has to mount over here. So here are the 2 holes that would be for the power supply. Let's double check the directions. Okay, yes, this is the one that goes on this. Let me make sure I'm orienting this correctly. I am not. I have myself backwards. Okay, this goes on this side with these 2 holes facing the inside. And those are going to mount the power supply. Okay, and checking the directions again on this one. The 2 holes go down low. There's a lot of cords, so be careful as you're moving things around. You don't want something yanking and pulling out. Okay, step 2, we're going to attach the power supply, and we're going to attach this little controller. And the controller takes 2 M5/8 with the round head. Four by 18. Wait a second. There we go. M4 by 20. So, I'm going to go ahead and do the power supply first. Throw away that bag. And we're going to need that out. There's a cord here that you're going to want to, it was tucked inside. Go ahead and pull that out. And it's interesting to see how that's going to hang or hopefully not get clamped underneath. Ah, yes, this is going to be up. It's going to attaches to the rail here, but there's at least a finger's thickness between the bottom of the power supply and the rail here. So this wire is not in any danger. Just tuck it underneath. And let's go ahead and start the top bolt first. Oh, that's the other side. There we go. 3mm head. It is possible to relocate this cord, relocate the entire power supply if you don't want it right up against the edge like that. Depending on what your work environment's going to be. This can be mounted off to the side. It could be just on the end of a cord. You could even set up an extension for that, because that's just a standard, I think it's an M60, the kind of connector you'd have on a LiPo battery. So you could rig an extension cord with some connectors and some silicone insulated cord and put this power supply under your desk or something. A lot of people complain about the noise, and I would imagine if you're stuck in the same room with this thing for sometimes days on end, literally large prints can take that kind of time, you know, trying to bring the noise level down as much as possible is a good thing. Some people switch the fans for the cooling, and a lot of people are recommending I can't remember the name of the company right now. They make very quiet computer fans. They're great fans. I use them, I put them in several of my gaming machines and render boxes and 3D workstations, but they are 12 volts only because they're made for PCs, and these fans are 24 volts, and you're going to get a different airflow. I wouldn't recommend switching it just to try to reduce noise by a small factor. There's more important things. I'd rather build an enclosure for the entire machine, because if you want to print certain kinds of material, for example, if you want to print ABS, ABS is a very nice plastic, depending on, you know, what kind of hobbies and stuff you've been into. You've probably heard of things, you know, products that were made out of, advertised being made out of ABS plastic. It's one of the highest temperature plastics. In other words, you can leave it out in the sun. It can take a good bit of environmental exposure without any kind of degradation whatsoever, and but it's nasty. It lets out some really bad fumes that are quite toxic. So you need to print either in an open environment, like not inside your home, or you need to have a sealed enclosure with ventilation. Now, I'm going to be building something like that for my laser printer, which you may have seen some of the videos for so far. So I may do similar with this. I'll get to that later. So let's continue. Now, this is one of the 3D prints I'm going to do. There are 3D prints that will create a little box to so that this thing isn't, you know, just exposed like this, where you might, you know, reach under it if you're trying to press this button, and you might reach under and be touching the circuit board, or you know, jiggle wires and whatnot. Not to mention it'll just look cleaner, not, you know, having the exposed circuit board. So I'm going to go ahead and print one of those out. One of the early things I'm going to do. You know what? I am not going to attach this yet. I am going to step ahead, and I'm going to figure out which cables plug in here. I don't want to try to do those when this thing is attached, because I'm not going to be able to read the labeling as well. So let's just look ahead on the instructions for that. Okay, I am not blind, and there is nothing in here on those. In fact, there's almost no wiring connections on these instructions. So let's go ahead and pull all the wires around to the front, and let's have a look at what goes where. Okay, that is probably our 3. Let's see, XP1, XP2, XP3. Okay, we have X, Y, and that's got to be, okay, X, X, and E. Well, that's not even slightly helpful. And not to mention, we've got, okay, none of these look like they are appropriate to this. All the connectors are different. See, there's, you know, for a slot right here, and then these have 2 on them. So and then this one, of course, is a different size altogether. So none of these plug in here. Let's take a look at this. Okay, this definitely plugs in to one of these. And I have no idea which, because they don't tell us. So I'm gonna guess at 1 for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in. I'm gonna attach this, and then I will worry about that later. Before I fire it up, I'm gonna go online and look and see what I can find. Just after I was patting them on the back for their nice instructions. And most of it is nice, and this is going together very easily, I gotta say. Not gonna tighten these down too hard. I'm gonna have to take it off soon anyway. As long as I'm under here, I'm gonna go ahead and plug this power cord in. There's another cord with a Z on it. Okay, so we got XXZ. Let's leave that there. Okay, all right, these are going to be for the stepper motors. I'm not sure where this goes because it's so short. We'll get there. Yeah, these must plug into the stepper motors. And that makes sense because this is the actual controller card. This is another one of the features of the Pro versus the regular Ender 3. This fan on the 3 is up on top, and people printed little covers for it so that grime and stuff wouldn't drop in. This also has a lot more ventilation holes, so that's probably a bonus as well. Okay. So let's see what's next.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.